321-0710 if you have a financial question for us. Every American should feel confident their deposits will be there if and when they need them. President Joe Biden said Monday in an address aimed at easing fears as the U.S. Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and the U.S. Department of Treasury moved quickly to prevent a broader contagion. We're also going to talk about what's going on with First Republic Bank. All these banks, this bank should have had like a $30 billion bailout, and nothing happened. Now, what's a bank run? Since banks take customer deposits and invest those funds, that cash is not regularly on hand. When everyone wants to withdraw money at the same time, the bank doesn't have the actual money to do that, and they go belly up, essentially. So we're here taking your questions, comments. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, whatever questions you have, no question is a dumb one, except the one that you do not ask. So call us now. We are live taking your questions on all matters financial. 800-321-0710. Now, the FDIC came in and they protected every depositor. But what happens when other banks go under? Now, so far, the FDIC hasn't failed anyone since, the 30s when it was created. So they've done a good job. Still, recent events bring up old questions about just how safe your cash is at the bank. Now, we're going to tell you how FDIC works and whether your deposits are still secure. In a moment of panic, customers literally run to the bank. Now that happens electronically, and because electronic transactions are made at high speed, bank runs are faster than ever. In the case of SVB, it was a dizzying 48 hours. While SVB also had an unusually high percentage of uninsured deposits, there are other mid-sized banks that could be at risk of large withdrawals. Could this happen at other banks? The short answer is possibly. This is happening in part because of the Federal Reserve's sharp rise in interest rates. Banks who own long-term bonds that are currently paying low interest rates that nobody wants, when the interest that banks are getting on these longer-term bonds is lower than the interest rate that they are offering depositors on their savings accounts, less money is coming in than they are paying out. Further, many banks are seeing large withdrawals from cash depositors who are looking for higher rates to make more money. All of this is creating stress. What about my cash at the bank, you may be thinking? Banks are covered by the FDIC, which insures your money up to $250,000 per depositor per account category. Since its creation in 1933, no depositor has lost insured deposits due to a bank failure. You may have a short time without access if a bank is taken over, but the government generally has a very speedy process to get you back to using your cash in short order. However, if you have more than $250,000 in deposits at any one bank, you may want to reach out to a private banker at your institution or split into different accounts at different banks. We have a program at Fidelity that can do just that. So call us at 888-988-JOSH if you want to make that happen. Now, how is this different than 2008? According to CNBC, they quote someone named Jude Boudreau, who says this doesn't seem like a financial crisis yet. Jude Boudreau is a CFP in New Orleans. Well, no offense, Jude, but I would hate for you to manage my money. This is a pretty big crisis. The two banks we are talking about right now specialized in riskier assets, particularly crypto and tech startups. As I talked about last week, though, these tech startups account for something like $18 trillion in the economy. The likelihood that this becomes a national wave, he says, seems low. I think it may be higher than we think, which is why they stepped in and said, we're not just going to... Notice that the FDIC didn't say we are going to insure deposits up to $1 million or up to $500,000, which would have been sensible. They said, no, we have to bail out the guy going to Maui, the founder of Silicon Valley Bank and others. He gets to keep his $3 million beach house. He gets to keep his, $100 million deposit that he got from cashing out. All these various people, they're protected. Why? Are they donors? This bailout was very irresponsible. They could have come and said, we're going to insure up to $1 million in deposits, or $5 million, or $10 million. No, they said unlimited. So, unlimited depositor insurance. But is that only for SVB? Is that for every bank? I guess it's for every bank, but we'll see. That's what they were saying. And then remember Lehman? That's when federal regulators and government officials let Lehman go completely bust. So you got to be careful. Here's the moral of the story. Big government can't save you and won't. There will come a time when they say, you know what, that bank, we're just gonna let that bank fail. Who did those people give to? Oh, they gave to this person. It's political campaign. They're finished. Last year, all of these large banks passed these tests. These institutions are in a stronger position now because of new rules imposed after the financial crisis, including higher capital reserve requirements and annual stress tests. So they say, the same government officials that, bungled COVID are saying there's nothing to worry about. Well, I'll trust them for now. So how do you protect your money? Well, very simply, limit your cash at the bank to $250 per depositor per institution. That's one way to protect yourself. A second is to go into accounts that operate under what's called not fractional reserve, but legal reserve. That's where they have dollar for dollar reserves in the bank. We're live on YouTube, Clubhouse, and iHeartRadio. Also Spotify. We're taking your calls now live on New York Radio, WOR, 710 a.m. We're taking your calls at 800-321-0710. If you have a question for me, chime in now. Now, so the banking industry is safe for now. Older adults generally have accurate expectations about Social Security claiming age, but they underestimate their Social Security income by $1,900 or 11.5% on average, according to a new study by the NBER, the National Bureau of Economic Research. They have a panel from the U of M's Health and Retirement Study, which collects data from 20,000 households age 50 and older. Now, they're observing that Social Security claiming age and benefits with subjective expectations provided during the 50s and 60s, finding that while older adults generally have accurate expectations about their claiming age, they commonly underestimate what Social Security is going to give them. Both forecast accuracy and precision increase with age, however, such that the average forecast error for people in their early 60s is not all that different from zero. So good for you. The researchers go on to use plausibly variation in the mailing of Social Security statements, which contain personalized information about future benefits, to show that the provision of additional info to late career workers can help reduce the forecast errors. So here's the thing. If you are planning Social Security, you don't want to go that alone. You want to call up us or somebody else, and basically you want to make sure, if you can do it, that you do a Social Security calculation. You go to SSA.gov, you download your work record. Then you use a software like MaximizeMySocialSecurity.com, or we'll provide one free of charge if you call us for the Social Security claiming age and claiming strategy. It's not just what age are you taking, but what strategy. Are you letting yours grow till 70, 67, 62? There is a three-legged stool that many of you have for retirement income. First leg is Social Security. You should know what you're going to get, even if you're 50, even if you're 40, even if you're 35. Social Security may be a part of your retirement plan. Now, if you're younger than 50, I think you should plan that it may be vastly different. Meaning, if you do one of these calculations and you put a 3% inflation on 40 grand a year, you're going to make 80 grand a year on Social Security in 20 years. That may be the case, but it may not be. So the key here is to have a financial plan that works regardless of whether Social Security is there or not. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages with your questions. All hour, 800-321-0710. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Tune in to the financial quarterback Josh Jelinski this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in
Everybody
these
on
Clubhouse,
make sure you follow me on Twitter.
Checklist designed to
We're going to start doing Twitter
health.
Spaces
Whether you're worried about
over
runaway
time,
prices,
so
fear of an upcoming recession,
that
or
way
a
we
stock
can have some
market
diversity
meltdown.
if Clubhouse
Tune into the financial
goes down.
quarterback and count on Josh
So
Jelinski
follow me on
to
Twitter
call the play.
and
For a free copy of Josh's
submit
book,
your
The
questions in the chat
Retirement
box
Reality
or raise your hand
Check.
to get you on stage.
988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to the financial quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to the financial quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. The First Republic deal has fallen through. Fail or sail, what could be next for the stricken Credit Suisse? BlackRock is denying reports that it's preparing a takeover bid for Credit Suisse. You notice these politically connected companies, they're going to thrive in this one, folks. Fed poised to approve quarter-point rate hike next week despite the turmoil. What are these people smoking at the Fed? We're going headlong into a recession, and they are raising rates. They are causing, this is obscene. So here's the thing. The Fed always screws it up. Here's the thing. Credit Suisse is going kaput. Now, maybe they'll get taken over. First Republic, maybe they'll be taken over. And there's all of these other issues. And you would think they would say, you know what, we're going to pause. And if I'm the Fed chair, this is all I would say. Not going to be grandstanded by you, Elizabeth Warren, anymore. We're going to pause rates for a month. We're going to see what happens with this economy. And we are data dependent. So if unemployment starts going up, we may put a pause. But we're going to pause for a month, just a month. Instead, they're going to do a 25 basis point hike, according to Janney Montgomery Scott's Mark Lucchini. Who knows? Nobody really knows what they're going to do, right? Who would have thought that based on the events of last week, unlimited FDIC insurance? Now, by the way, I don't necessarily mind very robust FDIC protections. I like that. I also am going to tell you how you can protect yourself from fractional reserve banking. By the way, that's the whole reason why Bitcoin exists. People, Satoshi didn't like what happened in the last '08 crisis. So more and more people are losing faith in the Fed. I have no faith in the Fed anymore. These people are like power hungry, and they love that everybody waits for their bated breath. I remember Elizabeth Warren said, "Do you know what you're doing is you're going to cause 2 million people to lose their jobs?" And he basically said, "Yeah, I don't care." I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Elizabeth Warren, but, you know, he was saying inflation's worse. But here's the thing. The only way inflation will be quelled is if we have mass economic carnage, mass unemployment, mass layoffs, or it might actually not be as bad as we think because that labor participation rate is so low. Maybe they're not counting millennials in their parents' basements or people above a certain age who are pushed out of their job or looking for work. So it's very hard to believe some of this data. BlackRock is denying the report that it's trying to buy Credit Suisse. They're embattled Swiss, but they were backed up by the banks. And we wonder why we have inflation, right? When the government just keeps printing money. Crazy thing, the last time we had political unrest, it's insane. So we'll see. I don't necessarily trust these people. Do you? Give us a call, 800-321-0710. Now, there's a ton of things, lot going on. Now, I will tell you, regional banks are resuming their slide. By the way, I think a lot of the selling in banks as a general category doesn't make sense. A lot of these banks are very solid, but it's sort of like taking out a whole industry. Stocks fell Friday as investors pulled back from positions in First Republic and other bank shares amid lingering concerns over the state of the U.S. banking sector. I would tell you, if you told me that we would have a banking crisis and the S&P would only end the week at 39.16, I'd take that. So this has been a generally positive positive stock market, that we're only down to 39.16 on the S&P, 31.861 on the Dow, even in the light of all of the troubles. Now, a Thursday relief bounce happened, which came when a group of banks said it would aid First Republic with $30 billion in deposits. And then Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and JP Morgan Chase will contribute about $5 billion apiece, while Goldman and Morgan would have contributed $2.5 million. Truist, PNC, US Bank Corp, State Street, Bank of New York Mellon, $1 billion each. But the banks, I guess, have pulled out. So that's a problem. Friday also saw KRE, SPDR, regional banking ETF, which lost 6% in the session, finish the week 14% lower. I think people are just shorting that indiscriminately. They're not really looking at the actual profitability of these banks. The banking sector remains relatively strong, even if there's, a few bad eggs that gave money to these private equity morons who are plunging the economy down. Friday's nosedive has brought the stock of First Republic down more than 70% from where it started in the week. So after hours trading, it lost another 15%. So all of you people who swept in and bought Monday, you lost even more money. So we got a lot to talk about, but I really want to hear from you. 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, Social Security, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one. except the one that you do not ask. So a lot of people are wondering, am I safe? The per depositor limit on the FDIC is still $250,000. We don't know about this unlimited depositors insurance. Was it only granted to SVB? Was it granted to everybody? We just have unlimited printing presses. And we wonder why eggs cost, $10 or $7. If you have organic eggs, it costs a lot now. So realize FDIC does not cover stocks, bonds, mutual funds, crypto, municipal securities, safety deposit boxes, U.S. Treasury bills, bonds or notes. These investments are backed by the U.S. government, municipal securities, annuities, life insurance. FDIC covers checking accounts, negotiable order of withdrawal accounts, savings accounts, money market deposit accounts, time deposits such as CDs, cashier's checks, money orders. So we got a lot here. If you have questions, we would love to help you with any and every one of your financial questions. I'm Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you with any and every financial question that you might have. So, the internet said so. People on TikTok are creating investment advice videos. Instagram. I've kind of joined in on the act. Follow me on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. But are these people accurate? I'm supposed to trust whatever this talking head is telling me. No chance. Of course, the person on TikTok could hold a number of higher education degrees and financial certifications, but until I know for sure who they are, what they are talking about, and what their objective is, I will keep my distance. News came out earlier this week that Graham Stephan, a YouTube influencer, Meet Kevin, and others were sued for pumping FTX. Wow. Finance YouTubers sued over their promotion of FTX. Realize these people have no financial licensures. They are not regulated, most of these people. Now, one of the influencers impacted in the lawsuit, Kevin of Meet Kevin, told TechCrunch that this allegation is false. But basically, they say these social media influencers should have certain guidelines, and the creators must clearly disclose when they are being paid to promote a product. Kim Kardashian, for example, settled with the FTC for over $1 million last year for not properly disclosing that she was paid $250,000 to promote Ethereum Max token. Tokenomics. There's a lot here, but finance YouTubers such as Graham Stephan, Andrea Jeek, Jaspreet Singh, and others, in my opinion, are promoting now disgraced cryptocurrency exchange FTX. They say they got duped like everybody else. But here's the point. My tip is do not listen to anyone, including me, in terms of I'm going to do that with my money based on hearing it on the radio or watching it on YouTube or hearing it on Clubhouse or hearing it on Twitter. Unless you are accompanied by an investment advisory contract where you're dealing with a fiduciary, do not act upon what you're hearing. I've watched these YouTubers. They're compelling. They make me want to buy that stock. I get it. Even me, I'm no naive, guy in this, but I get so frenzied because some of these people are masterful storytellers, communicators. They know how to get you to want to buy a certain stock. But how do you know they're not being promoted on that stock? That's why we don't generally talk about individual stocks. I don't make any buy or sell recommendations over the airways because I don't want you to make a mistake because you're You're too cheap to hire an actual financial advisor. Financial advisors generally get between 1 and 1.25%. There's an investment advisory contract. You can have a no commission advisor like us. Give us a call, 888-988-JOSH if you want help. But I've heard some of these very influencers named push a particular stock and then it goes down. So I want to know, not just were they pushing FTX due to that, but are they being given money by investment bankers to push certain offerings? Just be careful and don't listen to these people. Or if you're going to listen, realize it's like financial infotainment. They're not giving investment advice. So when you hear something, you then can talk about it with your financial advisor. But I'll tell you, generally by the time it's out on YouTube, it's too late. Meaning that stock is already up. That crypto is already gone kaput. Also, avoid all altcoins. Generally, a lot of this is due to altcoin mania. These people pushing, Robinhood type stocks and cryptocurrency projects. You would generally do better by following, disciplines of financial planning, having an emergency fund, maxing out your retirement plan at work, staying diversified, staying liquid, making sure you have adequate amounts of insurance for disability and life insurance, car insurance, home insurance, and then maybe if you want to take a flyer, that's fine. But realize these people their advice should not be acted upon. And this came out this week. My thing is there will be and then somebody like BitBoy. I don't know why you people are listening to these idiots, by the way. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Tune in to the financial quarterback Josh Jelinski this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower
Jennifer,
your taxes and
little
lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the financial quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, taking your calls on all matters financial. We're live on Clubhouse, also WOR. Take my call now. Take my call. Call me now. 888-988-JOSH if you want help navigating this hazy world of personal finance. Remember, you got to watch these people. One day Bitcoin Tina is telling you Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million. Then he tells you sell all your Bitcoin. These people are influencers. They're generally trying to monetize their platform. They're not trying to help you. They're not giving financial advice. They are not your friend. Now, what you want to realize, so what do? You listen. Obviously, you listen to shows like mine. You write down notes maybe, and then you discuss that with your financial advisor. That's why my show says we're not giving financial advice in the disclaimer. Read the disclaimers of these YouTube influencers now, because now they're going to show that they were paid promoters of something. Now, you may have not known they were paid promoters. They may have had bad disclosures in the past. But shame on you for not realizing that, right? But I will tell you, I think this is not the end of this. I think there's going to be a lot of dealings between these YouTube influencers and regulators. They can't be, they're generally not SEC registered. They're generally governed by, I guess, the Federal Trade Commission mandates. So they have to say that they were paid. Kevin Pathrath says it's pretty obvious that when we say regularly, hey, we're sponsored by on our videos or brought to you by, you know this is an ad. We even have to check a little box on our videos that say, hey, this video includes a paid promotion. And when every one of our FTX ones has a little disclaimer that says this is paid. The lawsuit also alleges that YouTubers took part in a civil conspiracy and misled customers with a false impression that any cryptocurrencies held on the FTX platform were safe and were not being invested in unregistered securities. SEC Chair Gensler has asserted that existing security laws should apply to cryptocurrencies, while many in crypto have argued otherwise. The lack of clarity makes it more challenging for crypto companies and influencers alike to know when to abide by more intense standards for the advertising of securities. So, very interesting. In the case of some of these people, too, you got to realize, like, some of these people were pushing real estate a year or two ago. Then they were pushing stocks. So make sure you tell all your friends to listen to us. Type your questions in the chat. Share this room with your friends, this radio show. Any questions you have, we're here. 800-321-0710. So here's the key. Seek a trusted and knowledgeable third party to confirm or deny whatever information you just heard. We can do that for free at 45 minutes. And what did I just heard review? Multiple resources must be consulted. Multiple, especially with important decisions concerning retirement accounts or anything else for that matter. You know, there's all these idiots saying don't put money in a 401k. Well, a wise thing would be, hey, your 401k is a tax-deferred investment. You need to have an exit strategy. Did you know you're a partner with Uncle Sam when you do a 401k? But if someone's saying, take all of your money out of your 401k and buy this real estate, well, are they a part of a real estate investment program where they're charging you, 10 grand or 50 grand to become a real estate millionaire? Be careful. Are they pushing a particular stock? Are they, I like life insurance. I like cash value life insurance. But if somebody says, take all your money out of your 401k and buy life insurance with it, that seems a little bit, over the top. Now you could say, hey, instead of putting 10 grand in your 401k, put 5 grand in the 401k, 5 grand in life insurance, 5 grand in a Roth. I could see those potential recommendations. But you literally have people feeding off of misinformation. In the McNulty case, now this is interesting. If it's on the internet, it must be true. A lot of people think, but that's not true. Such thought process is utterly foreign to me. But how else to explain what we are seeing in actual court cases? In the McNulty case, a Rhode Island nurse lost a chunk of her 400 grand nest egg when the tax court held that her self-directed IRA in gold coins that she kept in her possession in her own house was a taxable distribution. So these gold buying firms that tell you can hold possession of your gold within an IRA and you hold the physical gold, that's deemed a taxable distribution. While gold coins and gold bullion can be IRA investments, they must be held by a qualified trustee or custodian. Why did Mrs. McNulty think that she could keep the gold coins at her home in a safe? Because the internet said so. And that's the same thing for Bitcoin self-custody IRAs. There's a lot of misinformation there. So just what bogus financial services website did Mr. Lucas stumble upon? And why did he trust it? I'll talk about Lucas, the case of Lucas in a minute. What made McNulty believe in the bad actor who created the internet site and falsely claimed that she could keep her gold coins at home? Neither McNulty nor Lucas were being malicious, just gullible, but the result is the same. Same thing with these Bitcoin IRA people. They're idiots. You can't hold physical custody of your Bitcoin or gold from an IRA. Otherwise, according to the McNulty case, it is deemed a taxable distribution. And if you screwed up, you need to get tax help. Because if you had, 400 grand, let's say in an IRA, and you did that, you could get a 40% taxes, state and federal, very easily, plus a 10% early withdrawal penalty. You could lose half to the IRS. Now, Robert Lucas was required to pay taxes and a 10% early distribution penalty on $19,365 distribution from his 401k. Based on his own internet research and failed understanding of the 10% disability penalty exception, he claimed an exemption from taxes and penalty because of diabetes. Yet Mr. Lucas was working a full-time job in the year of his distribution. So, folks, if you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, Bitcoin IRA people who are scamming people all over the internet, all over Twitter, we would love to break it down for you. We would love to answer any of your personal finance questions, but just realize, just because you saw it on Instagram doesn't make it real. Just because you heard it from Glenn Beck or whatever, Fox News or Fox Business or Newsmax or whatever, MSNBC, and you got to realize, do not let people prey on the cycle of fear and greed. Yes, is it a scary time because of what's going on with Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, First Republic, but this too shall pass. And you know what doesn't pass? The principles of financial planning, diversification, not having all of your eggs in one basket, having an emergency fund of 6 months cash readily available for emergencies. If you want a year, have a year. Saving 15% of your income in a retirement savings plan. Making sure your family has at least 20 times your salary in term life insurance. That's convertible to a good permanent plan because you may want insurance when you're older. Having disability insurance equal to 2/3 of your pay. Financial planning is relatively simple, but people make it hard because of fear and greed. So we'll talk more about that, and we'll take your questions at 800-321-0710. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to the Financial Quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to the Financial Quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
I'm going to start doing my radio show on Twitter Spaces
your financial future in a down
next
economy.
hour
Josh and
at
his
10.
team at the Jelinski Advisory
So
Group can help
follow
you
me
lower
on
your
Twitter,
taxes and
follow
lower
me
your risk
over
in
to
these
Twitter,
uncertain times with a
in
27-point
about
checklist
15
designed
minutes.
to
We'll
improve
go
your
there.
financial health. Whether you're
Trying
worried
something
about
a little
runaway
new,
prices, fear of an
'cause
upcoming
Clubhouse
recession,
is
or a stock
dying.
market meltdown, tune in to the
So
Financial
type
Quarterback
yes
and count
if you
on
think
Josh
that's a good
Jelinski
idea
to
in the
call
chat
the
box.
play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674.
Apparently we're
or visit
also-
Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, whatever financial question you have, no question is a dumb one, except the one that you do not ask. So pick up the phone. Call us now, 800-321-0710. 888-988-5710. We'd love to hear from you. Invite your friends to listen now. We're talking more about First Republic deal falling through. That's what happens. That's what happens in a recession. This is crazy. So give us a call, 800-321-0710. I think humans, for the most part, are programmed to trust one another. But the internet is a cesspool. For every cute kitten video, there are probably 100 snakes. Be smart. Be diligent. Be aware of your surroundings. Knowledgeable, trustworthy people are ready to guide you through this morass. Seek them out and engage in a thoughtful conversation before making major decisions regarding your retirement accounts or otherwise. Folks, several considerations go into selecting a financial advisory firm, especially if you're in your prime working years and have plenty of time left before you retire. For one, think about whether the advisors are fiduciaries. We are. More and more investors today want to work with a professional who provides advice versus selling products and is legally obligated to consider someone's best interest. But I want to be careful here. Having a fiduciary doesn't mean you don't lose money in a downturn. It just means they're disclosing conflicts of interest and they are operating under a principle of full and fair disclosure. It doesn't mean you're going to be 100% happy with whatever they do. To put your money in the market goes down 20%, you may lose money. But it helps make sure at least they're not necessarily putting you in a certain fund because they're getting paid X. Your needs will change as you evolve and different things happen in your life, whether it's getting married, having a baby, or switching careers. Therefore, you need an advisor who will evolve right along with you. Good firms and advisors can keep up with the latest wealth management and financial planning trends. The best ones, though, stay ahead of them. Also, what are some various things? Do the advisors have a good record? Were they a bad little boy or girl in school? Do they have a good disciplinary record? A violation doesn't mean they're a crook. Mistakes happen. But if they have a history of not keeping their own house in order, do you really want them managing your family's money? You can enter their name into FINRA's online broker check tool. It's an easy way to find out. Another factor is personal chemistry. Remember, your professional relationship with an advisor is much like that of a doctor. It could last decades and really should. You don't have to be best friends, but it would be better if you liked them. These are all important concerns, yet one that doesn't come up as often. How equipped are the firm and its advisors to grow and evolve? I'm going to give you 5 questions to ask your current or would-be advisor to help you determine whether they are running in place or capable of keeping up with the ever-changing needs. So when we return, I'll give you 5 questions to ask your financial advisor and a surprising one. Up next, this is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to the Financial Quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to the Financial Quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
We're back. Follow us on Twitter at Your Financial QB. We'll be going live next hour on Twitter. Currently, we're live on Clubhouse, YouTube, WOR, New York Radio. 5 questions to ask your advisor. This is the best question. How many of your advisors are over the age of 55 and how many of your advisors are under the age of 45. The financial services industry is facing a demographic crunch, with the average advisor about 55 years old or higher. And these guys, by the way, who are older, no offense, we have some great older advisors, right, Jim?
Yes.
They like to golf instead of actually watch your money. We have dedicated people who are there all the time, over 55 and under 55. We believe in age diversity. So we have advisors in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and we're grooming people even in their 20s. So folks, to make matters worse, many of these advisors don't have a succession plan. Make sure if you're dealing with an advisor who's 55 and older, who doesn't have a succession plan, have them call us. We'd love to be a part of their succession plan. There's nothing wrong with working with an older advisor. At the same time, if they are to retire without having anyone internally said to take their place, or their kid's an idiot, it would create a long line of issues for you. If an advisor isn't planning for their future, do you want them planning yours? Also, what safeguards do they have to protect customer data and thwart cyber attacks? This is a big one. And we'll talk more about this. But first, Al, go ahead. Al. Big Al. Let's go. Quick. He's having a 401k problem with his former company. Go ahead, Al. Okay. Alvin. Okay. With that in mind, so cyber and data incidents result from human error. Someone internally clicking a link they shouldn't. With that in mind, ask your financial advisor how often they undergo cybersecurity's awareness training. Also, ask whether they monitor vulnerabilities within their systems and devices. Remember, this isn't just about sensitive information getting compromised, as bad as that is. It's also about being able to trade within your portfolio. If a cyber attack takes down your firm for a prolonged period, you may not be able to do that. So 2 questions you wouldn't really think of. Next, Al is back. Go ahead, Al, quickly.
Hey, good morning, Josh. Since you brought it up, just out of curiosity, what is your age bracket? Because you just brought it up.
My age? It's none of your business. Yeah. I'm 41, so I'm 41. A lot of people are surprised by that because I've been doing the radio since I was 22 or 23, 24, 25, something like that. I started on the radio when I was in my 20s, and now I'm in my 40s. So been doing this for a long time. But here's the thing, you want your financial advisor to be there when you need them. We have a lot of people who are smart with money. They can trade their own stocks. But the reason they hire us is because they know their spouse may not be able to handle all of the financial affairs when they're gone. So one of the biggest reasons people pick us is because we have a succession plan. We have advisors in their 60s, in their 50s, in their 40s, and in their 30s, and we're grooming people in their 20s to take over when we're ready. So we have a very long horizon plan. Now, when was the last time they upgraded their tech? And how integrated is it? Imagine sitting with your advisor, looking at a screen displaying your investments. You have a question about one of your holdings. To find it, they have to log into a different system. Well, this may not seem like a big deal. It's a huge red flag when an advisor must toggle between 2 platforms to see all of their holdings. It means they have either outdated or substandard technology, which in turn suggests they care more about improving their own margins and investing in up-to-date integrated financial systems. I would caution that point in that generally a lot of tech in the financial services space relies on you logging in and updating that. But that being said, we have multiple financial planning softwares, some that do talk to each other and some that don't, that handle trading, so how we're able to handle a growing firm. They handle consolidated reporting, all that stuff. Next, how long has the staff been in place? A startup can be a great place to work. We have many staff members who've been with us a decade or longer. And everyone is new and has a sense of purpose with a startup. The energy is sometimes different when established business. Have tenured employees. So having a good culture, and our staff's been around with us for a long time, good thing. Next question, how long has the firm's leadership been in place? And how many of them were promoted from within? We like to promote from within at our firm. So there's a lot of factors when considering whether a financial advisor is right for you. I think age diversity, tech security, and how willing they are to upgrade current technology. We had a program we loved. It just got outdated, so we had to replace it. We have an amazing array of software. You can log in, you can see all your accounts at once. Now you got to link it technologically, so some powerful tools to show you how to get an income for life. We can show you every year from 32 to 92, and you can see how your savings will grow or not grow, the impact of certain decisions. So this is an interesting question. Ask 100 people how much money they'll need for retirement, and you'll get 100 different answers. Some might think you need as little as $100,000 to do it. Yet others think they need $1 million or $2 million. And a surprising number of people can't even hazard a guess. So how much do you need for retirement? Envisioning what you think you'll be doing in retirement helps to bring it to life. And that makes it slightly easier to think it through and save appropriately. So we have a visioneering tool where you can pretend you're retired and you can watch checks come in. Do you need $6,000 a month? Do you need $10,000 a month? We'll be able to help you with that. Small savings increases can make a big difference over time. The key to retirement readiness is to invest intelligently. Now, what every retiree should strive for is optionality or anti-fragility. I'll talk more about that later. The more money you save, the more options you have. I've never met anyone who saved 20% of their pay for 30 years who became a retirement failure. Never met anyone who had the right savings rate, and the ideal savings rate is 15 to 20%. And folks, follow me on Twitter at YourFinancialQB. We're going to be going live on Twitter Spaces, so follow me on Twitter. Also, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We're going to be talking more about this question of what do you need for retirement, and I'll be even sharing my screen for some cool screenshots from our state-of-the-art software when we return. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back after these messages.
WOR and WAXQ HD2 New York, an iHeartRadio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts.
Two smart minds, one smart show. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Weekdays noon to 3 on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
An iHeartRadio station.
It is 42 degrees at 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Paul DeCastro. And new this morning, former President Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested Tuesday in Manhattan in connection with the investigation by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Trump taking to social media this morning. About 2.5 hours ago, he urged his followers to protest his looming indictment. He again insisted that he's committed no crime. The New York Post reporting that Bragg's charges are said to focus on Trump's payments of hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential election. In his post, Trump called on his supporters to, quote, protest, take our nation back. A man is in critical condition after being stabbed and beaten with a baseball bat in Queens yesterday.
The Daily News reporting it happened between parked cars on 48th Street near 47th Avenue in Sunnyside. The victim, believed to be in his 30s, was stabbed 5 times. Police reportedly arrested the attacker and another person of interest. Channel 7 reporting the attack followed a long-running fight over parking. Andrew Whitman, WOR News.
New York lawmakers are considering a digital streaming tax to generate money for the cash-strapped MTA.
It's in the Democrat-led Assembly's budget plan, adding a 4% state sales tax plus a 4% local sales tax for digital streaming products. It would hit users hard, covering TV, audiobooks, music, podcasts, and online gaming. The MTA would get a big piece of the digital tax pie, and the rest, well, that would fund mass transit across New York State. Sarah Lee Kessler, WOR News.
Well, TikTok in danger of being banned in the U.S.
The nation's top intelligence official warns that TikTok makes Americans vulnerable to spying. The fear that TikTok has been vacuuming volumes of personal detailed information about all those users. Information that could be exploited by China to manipulate what Americans think. And sources tell ABC News the Biden administration is threatening to ban TikTok completely unless the Chinese owners give up their stake.
That's Pierre Thomas reporting. In sports, for just the second time in NCAA tournament history, a 16 seed upset a number 1 seed as Fairleigh Dickinson out of Teaneck, New Jersey, stunned Purdue 63-58. FDU will face Florida Atlantic tomorrow in the second round. Also, UConn beat Iona. Tonight, 15th-seeded Princeton takes on Missouri in round 2.
Here's your WOR Weather Channel forecast. Some colder air will settle in through the weekend behind a front. Partly to mostly cloudy from this morning to the afternoon with a high near 51. And then a clear sky overnight as the low dips down to 31 degrees. To wrap up the weekend
Jennifer,
on Sunday,
should we
plenty
keep
of
this
sun with
going
a
or
high
move over to
41.
Twitter
And
Spaces?
to start off the week on Monday, a sunny day as the high eventually hits the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr.
Next news at 11. Start your day with Len Berman and Michael Riedel in the morning, 6 till 10 Monday. I'm Paul DeCastro on 710 WOR, an NBC News radio station.
Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jelinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jelinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710.
Share the room, invite your friends.
800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jelinski.
We're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Share this show. If you like what you're hearing, share. We'd love to hear from you with any and every personal finance question. There are so many variables that go into counting your personal amount, how much you need for retirement. What age will you quit working? How lavish a lifestyle will you lead? Is your mortgage paid off? When will you tap Social Security? Will you work part-time? How long will you have? How long will you live? The list of questions goes on and on. There are so many variables that go into computing how much you'll need to save and to live on each month once you stop earning a paycheck. All of the uncertainty about how much is enough was spotlighted by a recent IBD poll. Folks were asked, how much do you think you need to have saved for retirement? I'd love to hear from our listeners. Call us at 800-321-0710 or raise your hand on Clubhouse. How much do you think you need to save for retirement? 2 out of 10 said not sure, 18%. Another 18% said under 100 grand. I don't know where these people live. 7% said over 2 million. The one thing you want to do is to map out your retirement savings goal. Despite the fuzzy math, you want a ballpark number so that you know where you're at and can map out a plan to help you reach your goal, says Rita Asaf, VP of Retirement at Fidelity. Fidelity estimates that you'll need to cover 80% of your annual income in retirement. Others say 70%. That's why Fidelity recommends you save and invest 15% of your pre-tax annual salary. And if you can't afford that much, try to boost your savings rate by 5% each year. If you can't do that, try 1% each year. To help future retirees get an idea of what they must have to save to fund their retirement, there are some basic rules to follow. You know, obviously, I don't like any of these rules of thumb, but they're a good, way if you're just kind of listening to say, are you matching up? How much you need to save has a lot to do with how much you actually spend in your golden years. That's why Nerd Wallets Rosen says you should save roughly 25 times your planned annual spending in retirement. So let's say you need to generate $30K a year in annual income from your portfolio. The math works like this. 25 times 30 grand equals 750 grand. What you're trying to do is play the averages. In coming up with a ballpark number, there are things you can control like the size and cost of your house, how long you'll work, and how much you'll spend on entertainment, property taxes, travel, and dining out. You can play with your costs. What you can't control is the growth rate of the economy or what returns you'll get in financial markets. But generally, if you have, say, 750 grand saved for retirement, you could put that money in a fixed product and get a decent amount plus Social Security to retire. I wouldn't advise putting all of your money in fixed, but fixed accounts right now can get, 4-ish% with very little risk. Also, another rule of thumb, save X times your annual salary by a certain age. This rule of thumb focuses on age-based milestones that are tied to your salary. For example, make sure you aim to save at least 1 times your salary by age 30, 3 times your pay by 40, 6 times by 50, 8 times by 60, and 10 times by 67. It's a guidepost, not a number etched in stone. The math looks like this. If you just turned 50 and earn 100 grand a year, you should have an estimated 600 grand in your 401k by now. And if you earn 150 grand by your retirement age of 67, you should have roughly 1.5 million saved. If all this is overwhelming to you, just start. Now, we get some people, somebody said fixed is getting killed with inflation right now. I actually take issue with that because if you have fixed accounts, what's better, a fixed account earning 4 or 5%, or the market over the last year or two that's lost 20% or 30% or 40%, depending on what type of stocks you're in. So there has been this, and I think our industry has done a good job of scaring people into the market that, oh, you need so much saved for retirement to be okay. Well, if you keep your expenses pretty low, you can have a large predominant of your money in fixed accounts like annuities, insurance, cash. Now, cash used to pay 0.01, but right now you get cash accounts paying 4 or 5%, annuities paying 4 or 5%. If you have $1 million saved for retirement, that's 40, 50 grand a year plus Social Security. That's fine for many people to retire and live comfortably. So I get it. Long-term inflation might be a killer, but if you're retiring at 65 and you're 85, maybe you have half of your money in the market and half in fixed when you go near to retirement. That way you have some money to hedge against inflation. But a lot of people say, oh, inflation. And what happens is people are getting screwed because they're putting their money in the market maybe more than they should be a little comfortable, and they don't have the long-term savings plan. Now, if you're curious about your own retirement readiness, you can get a quick snapshot by using the retirement score. You get to answer 6 simple questions to find out if your savings are on target. You want the right mix of stocks and ETFs and fixed assets, depending on how far you are from retirement and how comfortable you are with taking risk. You also want to make sure you calculate your monthly life costs. Focusing on a lump sum number that you'll need for retirement is the wrong number to focus on. I would sort of agree with that. Oh, I've saved up $2 million. That means I'm going to be fine because I have the magic number in my head. That's fantasy land. Instead, a guy named Chad Willerson, author of the book Stress-Free Money, says the real number to focus on is how much your life now costs on a monthly basis, because that's how much you'll probably need in cash flow to pay all your bills in retirement. And then you add inflation to that number. Look at how much money is coming out of your checkbook each month. And don't forget your credit cards. Look at your checkbook over the past 90 to 180 days and come up with an average per month cost. That number is the monthly nut you'll likely need to fund retirement. Now, let's say you need 10 grand a month to live. Next, figure out where that money is coming from. The first place to look is what Willardson dubs mailbox money. This is income you have coming in no matter what. Think Social Security, pension payments, annuity payment, or rental property. I like to personally cover a client's monthly nut with mailbox money. And then the rest of the money you can put in long-term assets that hedge against inflation, like stocks, ETFs, real estate, and other asset classes. Whatever is left over, that's the income gap you'll have to fill with your investments. So if you have $5 grand coming in each month from mailbox money, you need to generate $5K in portfolio income from your IRA and 401k. So you want to set up guaranteed streams of income for your mailbox money. And then the above that, let's say you're going to make $5 grand a month in Social Security. Well, you could have $5 grand a month in mailbox money and then an additional $5K a month off of dividends and things that are riskier, getting $15 grand a month in total income, only of which $10 grand a month is guaranteed. So you really want to focus on cash flow planning and income planning. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, if you want to set up your own financial plan. We're here for you live, 800-321-0710. If you have a financial question for me, now is the time to chime in, 800-321-0710. We'd love to talk with you if you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, whatever questions you have. No question is a dumb one except the one that you do not ask. So call us now, 800-321-0710. That's 800-321-0710. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Tune in to the financial quarterback Josh Jelinski this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the financial quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to the financial quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to the financial quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, taking your calls at 800-321-0710. If you have a question on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, if you were to tell me that after all of this, all of the bad news of this week, we'd be looking at a 3,900 on the S&P, I would take that. Ukraine war, Fed's next move, all of these problems, I don't think it's that bad. So give us a call, 800-321. Now, those could be famous last words. You know, I ultimately think we could be in for a rough ride this year as the Fed seems destined to throw caution to the wind. The only way they're going to get inflation down is if we have a recession. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to manipulate the interest rates so that raise interest rates so the cost of borrowing is so high so that essentially, I mean, this is what's happening. Banks are going under. Think about this. All because the Fed raised rates. Because now these banks that had 10-year bonds, nobody wants them. They're losing money. So unintended consequences. You know, that's why central planning, central banking is really never works in human history. That's why communism ultimately fails, because central planning never works. So give us a call, 800-321-0710. You may have heard that many taxpayers are in for a big surprise this tax season if they're banking on a big refund check, or one that's even close to the amount they received last year. But that's more of a tax myth than reality. Last year, according to the IRS, more than 2/3 of tax filers received refunds. So far this year, the average refund is $3,028 as of March 3rd, compared to $3,401 over the same period last year, an 11% decline. You may get a smaller tax refund this year because several tax credits, including the child tax credit and child and dependent care credit and earned income tax credit, have reverted to pre-pandemic levels. And the above-the-line deduction for charitable contributions of up to $300 was eliminated entirely. So according to CNBC, know the facts when you're filing your taxes. Here are the facts behind 4 common tax myths. Myth number 1, tax returns must be filed by April 15th. Fact, federal income tax returns are due April 18th. A recent survey found nearly 7 in 10 people don't know that tax day is April 18th this year. One of the biggest tax myths is that tax returns are always due on April 15. If that date falls on a weekend or a holiday, tax day is the next weekday. This year, the due date is April 18th because April 15th is a Saturday, and the next weekday, April 17th, is a recognized holiday, Emancipation Day in Washington, D.C. The IRS says by law that D.C. holidays affect tax deadlines for everyone the same way federal holidays do. Some taxpayers may even get more time, those who live in a disaster area. In California, Alabama, or Georgia, of a much later due date, October 16th, to file their federal tax return and pay their bill if they have one. Myth. File an extension if you can't pay your tax bill now. Fact, if you owe the IRS money, you must pay by tax day to avoid interest and penalties. You get an extension to file your taxes by filling out Form 4868. That will give you 6 months until October 16th to file your tax return, but not necessarily more time to pay taxes. You can also get an automatic extension to file when you make an electronic payment with direct pay on irs.gov. The IRS says that you should estimate and pay any owed taxes by your regular deadline to help avoid possible penalties. And you have to file your extension request no later than the actual due date of your return. And you have to file so there's a lot here that you need to know about. Next myth. You can't file your taxes for free. Fact, if you made $73,000 or less in 2022, you can use an IRS free file provider to file taxes at no cost. Above that amount, use free file fillable forms to do your tax return. I do not recommend that because anybody, even if you make over $73,000, it's helpful to know the tax code. Get a CPA. Get an accountant to do your taxes. You can sometimes learn a lot. So this IRS free file program. Another myth, if you go to a tax preparer and there are mistakes on your return, they will be liable. Fact, you are ultimately responsible for all information on your return, no matter who prepares it. So choose your tax preparer very carefully. IRS has a choosing a tax professional page on their website. Look for a preparer who's available year-round in case questions come up. Avoid any tax professional whose fees are based on the amount of your refund or who claims they can get a bigger refund than your competitor. Tax tip: compare this year's return with last year's. Take time to compare this year with last year's. Taxpayers should see what's changed and what they could have done differently. Now is the time to make those changes proactively for 2023. So, folks, give us a call. If you have questions, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call now, 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, no question is a dumb one except the one that you do not ask. So we're here live. Now, this individual retirement account surprises people the most. We'll talk about that next. Now, there is an IRA that many people don't take advantage of. Generally, IRAs require earned income, such as wages or salary from a job or self-employment earnings. But did you know a spousal IRA allows you to contribute based on your spouse's earnings if you file taxes jointly? There's still time to make a spousal IRA deposit for 2022 before the federal tax filing deadline. This from Kate Dorr, CFP on CNBC.com. One of the ground rules for IRA contributions is you must have earned income, such as wages or salary from a job or self-employment earnings. But there's a special exception known as the spousal IRA, which allows you to contribute based on your spouse's earnings if you file taxes jointly. And there's still time to save for last year because you have till April 18th of this year. That's probably the thing that surprises people the most. So here's how a spousal IRA works. A spousal IRA is a separate account, meaning both spouses can contribute to their own IRAs, but collectively, annual IRA deposits for the couple can't exceed joint taxable income or 2 times the yearly limit. For 2022, the annual limit you can do by April 18th this year is $6,000. If you're 49 and younger, if you're 50 and older, $7,000. That limit is jumping to $6,500 with an extra $1,000 for investors age 50 and up this year. Many people don't realize that they can still make the 2022 IRA contribution, which is April 18th is the tax filing deadline. And many couples aren't aware of spousal IRAs. For example, one spouse may have experienced a layoff or may have taken a break from the workforce to care for family. They can continue to save. For 2022, couples can still make a combined contribution of up to $12,000 or $14,000, assuming one spouse had at least that much taxable income for the year. Roth IRA eligibility depends on earnings, and your deposits won't offer you a tax break, but you can still score a deduction for pre-tax IRA contributions. So if your accountant says, hey, you got to pay taxes, consider putting money into an IRA. So give us a call. I'd love to hear from you. 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, we'd love to hear from you at 800-321-0710. Share this with a friend. Comment your questions in the chat box. We would love to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. The Treasury absorbing losses, spousal IRAs, financial planning concerns, whatever question you have. David, you had a question on excess reserves. Go ahead. I don't know if he's there. Okay, David, go ahead. Do you guys have Clubhouse on? If he's from Clubhouse, turn him on. Okay, go ahead, David.
Hey there. Hey, Josh, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning. Good to talk to you. So since 2008, right, they've been piling up excess reserves in depository institutions. They've got some trillion. We've seen it being pulled back a little bit. One of my questions for you, and I don't know if you know, but the question is, you know, with all these losses that these regional banks and other banks are experiencing from rising rates on treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, can they use those excess reserves to absorb those losses or to wipe out those losses, or to, you know, can the Treasury, you know, use that money to buy back those bad assets to help, you know, preserve, you know, banking? And what do you think is going to happen with these regional banks?
I think a high quality regional bank is fine. I mean, you can go to the call report of the FDIC and be fine. I think I'm more worried about the First Republics, the Signature banks, all of those type that had heavy Silicon Valley exposure. I think the FDIC, the government will step in because they have to. They can't afford another Lehman Brothers meltdown, but you know, how much money can they have? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the exact way in which the reserves have to be marked to the market. If anybody does, you can be sure to call. We'd love to put you on. 800-321-0710. I don't know. I mean, they were making all this money from 2008 to today. I don't know why they don't have enough reserves to cover it, many of these banks. I mean, I get that they were putting some of their money in 10-year treasuries, but a lot, I mean, even when I looked at the numbers, I called the depths last weekend of the FDIC report for Silicon Valley Bank, and they had $150 billion in money markets. So, I mean, I'm sure they had big losses in their treasuries, but $150 million in money markets could be liquid tomorrow. So I don't know. You know, maybe their reserves dipped. Also, you got to realize banks have, a good bank might have 10 cents backing every dollar, and they borrow the money from the Fed. I mean, it's kind of how it works. I like legal reserve institutions like life insurance companies better because they have a 1-for-1, you know, assets are backed 1-for-1, or $1.15 backing every dollar, $1.05 backing every dollar if you have a good insurance company. So I prefer conservative money above the $250 in FDIC insurance to go to one of those types of institutions. But hey, if you have unlimited depositors insurance, that could be a good thing. But yeah, I'm not a banking expert. If there's anybody who is, I love them to chime in. Any other follow-ups to that, David?
No, I mean, personally, I mean, coming from a crypto aspect, I think largely it feels like an attack on the crypto banks, because all three banks that we have issues with over the last week were all crypto-friendly banks that did OTC or, you know, help support the crypto economy in some way or another. So that kind of feels like that. There was an article, I think, that came out in 2009 that asked why we're storing those excess reserves. And basically the punchline or the summary conclusion was, we're doing it so during a financial crisis that we can raise rates and soften the blow. So I think I think a lot of this is planned out, even whether we know it or not, or at least I like to hope so, right? for our own you know, well-being long term.
Yeah, I think if you're worried about your bank, there's a website called cdr.ffic.gov. This is the Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council Central Depository. And you can actually look up the call report, even of these particular banks that were in question. And it's a pretty interesting thing where you can look them up. You can see, you know, what their reserves are, all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. Next up, we're going to go to Diane, who has a question. Go ahead, Diane. Calling us on our listener call number, 800-321-0710. Go ahead, Diane.
Hi, Josh. I think I missed the beginning of your show. You talked about banks, and I guess that guy was asking about banks, and that's what my question was. Are all banks safe? And I understand there's some that are safer, like community banks. But my question is it safer to put the money in a money market?
Well, you can limit. The FDIC backs deposits up to $250,000. So the average person is fine. The problem here is if you have more than $250,000 in the bank, you should move it to another bank so that you have the FDIC insurance. And that's a simple solution. So I don't think there's much to worry about. Now, if you're a guy with $20 million or a lady with $20 million in one of these banks, there could be an issue. But the government did say, hey, we're going to insure these deposits. Unlimited depositor insurance. Now, some people are worried about the regional banks, and they're kind of concerned, hey, what's going to happen to them? I think generally we'll get through this. I think a lot of this is related to the crypto banks. And I think David made up that point, which is a good point. That is this, were these banks having exposure to FTX? So let's say, I don't know, Silicon Valley Bank had 150 million or 160 billion in real deposits, real money, backing things. But they had a $40 billion loss. Well, maybe it's losses related to the FTX debacle. We don't really know. And we're not being given full disclosure on this. But I think generally you should be fine. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. So long as you're within the FDIC limits. So you got to realize CNBC and Fox Business and any of these news organizations, they fuel off of fear and greed. And when they see that their ratings are going to go up, they're going to keep that story going and going and going, even if the banking system is otherwise pretty strong. So, great point. A great question, Diane. So we're taking your calls, folks, at 800-321-0710. We'll be back after these messages.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory. Or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to the Financial Quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to the Financial Quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. I will give a link to this call report. It's the FDIC call report. It tells you where the banks have their money. You could also do that with an insurance company. Look up the AM Best reports. I mean, financial integrity in a company is important. So don't just put your money in a bank blindly. So just Google call report, and at the end of the show, I'll put it in the link in the YouTube chat and in the Clubhouse chat. We're live on Clubhouse taking your calls on all matters financial. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one, except the one that you do not ask. So what do you do with your money? A lot of people are worried about their money in these uncertain times. Next up, we have Tom with a question on everybody's mind. Go ahead, Tom.
Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Tom.
Yeah, I have one of those questions you may say it would be stupid, but to be afraid to ask. It's reference my Series EE bonds that I've had invested for over 30 years. And I've been cashing $500 face value in over the last couple of months. In January, I got over $1,086. February, I got like $1,086. And I brought the March bond in, and it was only like $800 and some odd dollars at the bank. And I'm just wondering, why would there be a difference of $200 with 1 month difference?
Well, maybe your bonds are at maturity. See, that's the thing. A lot of people, you need to pull them out, do something else with it.
I can't hear you that well.
Well, I can't hear you. Somebody turn him down. There's all this crackling. It's impossible for people to listen. Why is there all this crackling? Anyway, Tom, I don't know why you have money in Series EE bonds. I mean, how old are they?
Yeah, they're all there.
Okay.
Maximum after 30 years.
We'll go to somebody else. 888-800-321-0710. Tom, I don't know. It's a lot of feedback. You're getting less money in Series EE bonds because they're probably past maturity, but I'm not sure the exact way. If you want to do a Series EE bond calculator, you can go to treasurydirect.gov, and on the YouTube right now, I'm going to show you how to look up the call report of your bank. So we're going to go on YouTube. Do we have the capability to do that now? I'm going to start sharing my screen so you can actually look up the bank that you have. And so you can go, okay, here is this bank I'm going to look up, and you can download the results. Now, these are results as of December 31st. You go to this website, cdr.ffic.gov. You type in your bank. I put in First Republic. Now, I don't even know. Here's the other thing. You don't even know if this is necessarily the bank that everybody's talking about. And you can actually look up the results. Very easy. But for some reason, it's not opening. But but then you get a pop-up, and you can actually see what, where the deposits are, how much they have in treasuries, how much they have in long-dated treasuries, how much they have in money markets. It's quite interesting. Okay, so you can actually look up the call report and all of these things relatively easily. So you go here, you type in the name, you go to call report, and then you can see generate the report here. So there's a lot you could do. So if you have a bank you want to look up, just Google FDIC call report, and then you can start looking down. Here's the drop menu. It's call report. This is on our YouTube, and you can search for any bank right here and click search banks, and out will pop up. You can also look up all these other reports, and you read up on your bank. You can look up a list of banks in the peer group, state average, if you want to make sure you have a strong bank. So give us a call now, folks, 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, the stock market, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one, except the one that you do not ask. So we're here live, taking your questions on any matter financial. Bitcoin's up 60% this year so far as investors rediscover the appeal to an alternative banking system. So you would think with all this crypto banking problem, Bitcoin would go down. It's actually up 60% this year. It's surprising to everyone except those who kind of know about Bitcoin. Fed's poised to move. Trump says he'll be arrested Tuesday. So here's the thing. We live in a great time of economic uncertainty. There has never been a better time to get a second opinion on your money. If you have a question on your financial picture, call us now, 888-988-JOSH. UBS is now in talks to take over all or part of Credit Suisse. I mean, that is quite the turn of events. I mean, it's a $1 trillion bank getting cut in half. Just think about that. And they didn't have, to my knowledge, I mean, it wasn't like they weren't a crypto bank. So we're living in an unprecedented time of uncertainty. And this I do know, financial planning has never been more important. I remember before this crisis began, I told people, make sure you have a lot in conservative assets. And I got laughed at. Cash is trash, things like that. Now cash is king. Ready money is Aladdin's lamp. So what do? Well, you get your model. So you don't live a life based on financial uncertainty. You have to control the things you can, which is your dollar working in the most efficient and effective way from a standpoint of tax efficiencies, protection, savings, and growth. And up next, we'll take more of your calls at 800-321-0710. But if you want our free customizable model, give me a call now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Tune in to the financial quarterback Josh Jelinski this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the financial quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to the financial quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to the financial quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
We're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, taking your calls on all matters financial. So, what can you control in this environment? You can control where you put your money. You can control whether you have a financial modeling tool. So it's kind of cool. We have a program where you can analyze virtually anything. And we have calculators and concepts. Things like, should you pay off your house in 15 years? Should you get a 30-year mortgage? Should you get a 15? What type of life insurance you have? All of that and more. We'll even show you the impact of fees, taxes, expenses. And you can look at all of these. What if we go through and wait? Here's the thing. If you understand history, you understand that the period we are living in is very much like the 30s. Not that we're in a Great Depression, but there's enormous social unrest. There's a war. There's a distrust in institutions. I would say we're at probably one of the scariest moments in human history. But generally, these things cycle through. So what do you focus on? You focus on time in the market. You focus on savings plans. On the YouTube right now, I'm going to show you one of our powerful programs called the Lifetime Economic Acceleration Process. And there's various things. And you could go to, we have a program called the Retirement Pressures Calculator, where you can show the impact. So let's say you have saved, I don't know, $1 million for retirement, and you're 65. We can show you, we have all these types of assets, how an 80-20 portfolio would fare. 80-20 meaning 80 stock, 20 bonds. How a 60-40 portfolio would have fared. How just a portfolio in the S&P would have fared. And what's interesting is, if you go back in history, a period very similar as the 60s and 70s, I would argue it's very similar to the period of 1960, 73 and 74. You might say, I wasn't around then. Why so? Inflation, Nixon took us off the gold standard. We had unprecedented uncertainty surrounding Vietnam. And we had 2 down years in the market, negative 14%, negative 26%. Look what happened in 75 and 76, up 37 and up 23. So if you started with $1 million, you would have earned back your money if you stuck with it for 4 years. Now, I'm not telling you to stick with it if you have bad stocks, if you have bad mutual funds, but generally markets are cyclical. So it would have taken you 4 years to regain your money if it was invested in the S&P from 73 to 76. Would it have been annoying to go from $1 million saved to 628 saved? Yes. But what's more annoying is selling low and being an idiot. Then let's look at the year 2000 to 2002. Also very similar today, because in a way we're having a tech bust. Remember the dot bombs? So if you look at the year 2000, if you had $1 million at the beginning of the year 2000, you would have 623 grand, almost a $400,000 loss. You would say, but I could buy a house with that. It's unbearable. Josh, I want to sell. But if you stuck with it, you would have made all of your money back and then some in 7 years. Now, the crazy thing about the decade from 2000 to 2010 is that million would have done literally nothing until year 11. But from year 11 to year 20, that million would have turned into 3.8 million. So many of you are wigged out of the market by short-term current events. You're that weak, and that's okay. I'm weak too. We're all humans. We have an amygdala, and we have a fear gauge, and we have a survival gauge. And when you see 30, 40% wiped out, or 20% wiped out, or 15, it's actually pretty good, you get scared, and you want to pull your money out of the market. But what good is that if you're a long-term investor? The reason why Warren Buffett is one of the richest men on earth is because he doesn't get wigged out of the market. So this is the chart. Next up, we're going to go to Dylan. Go ahead.
Hi, I'd just like to know why everybody's throwing shade at Jerome Powell. To me, he seems like the only guy in government doing the right thing right now by raising interest rates. I mean, if we don't raise interest rates, we'll be headed towards Japan, where, they spend 500 yen taking the subway. I mean, if you let all this money out of the Federal Reserve, it's time to bring it back in. And if I could just give a small anecdote, I work in a warehouse, it's a bunch of men making, $20 an hour, and it's very free market because we have to deal with the flow of goods. But pretty much everybody's wife works at home, and they're making $36, $40, $50 an hour in some cases. I think we've bloated our economy to where the free market only represents a very small portion, and we let people like Jeff Bezos and the government run rampant over everybody's, good sense.
Well, I like your point, but my point about Jerome Powell is why don't they give it a rest, the interest rate hikes? Let them do what we're having a banking collapse, basically, because of the raising of rates. I mean, if the FDIC didn't step in on Monday and say, hey, we're going to back everything, we would have had another '08 this week. I mean, we're in unprecedented times. So to say, hey, let's pause the rate hikes for a month or two to let this play out, I don't think it's dumb. I think it's wisdom. But, I appreciate your viewpoint. I agree that they should have raised rates years ago. But, we have major problems. We had COVID money printing. And I guess the only way inflation's going to come down is if they force a recession. So I guess that's what they're trying to do. They don't say that, but I mean, they do have a mandate to bring inflation back to 2%. But, I think it's an unenviable job, and the guy's probably doing the best he knows how, right? But, if I were him, I would say, let's pause rate hikes for a month or two. Let's see where the economy goes. And then if we still have high inflation numbers, then do it. I also don't think this inflation has anything to do with the Fed. I think it largely has to do with COVID lockdowns causing a dislocation of price from reality when the government was literally doing modern monetary theory. So, and this is where a problem with those on the right as well as the left. A Republican president was engaged in MMT, direct checks to the American public. So that's partially why we're having this inflation. They went around the Fed and they just said, hey, we're going to keep our rates low. And so there's blame on both sides, but it's, I'm worried about it too. But, if I were Jerome Powell, I'd say, hey, we've seen some real damaging economic news. We're going to pause for 30 days and see where things go. Now, then that markets would probably crash because they would say, oh, he's uncertain. So I think he probably has to raise rates 25 bips. So, valid point. Any other comments on that, Dylan, before we go to the final break of the hour? Okay, we're going to go for a break. 888-988-JOSH. If you want the free review, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Tune in to the financial quarterback Josh Jelinski this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the financial quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back with a special offer. If you call me right now at 888-988-JOSH and schedule your free What Do I Do in Light of the Banking Crisis review, 888-988-JOSH. We'll give you a copy of my book, Retirement Reality Check, for free, 888-988-JOSH, or head over to retirementrealitycheck.com right now. Buy the book. So what are we offering today as well? A Leap customizable model where you get to see your whole life on a 27-point protection, savings, and growth review. If we go to the screen real quick on the YouTube, I will show this, kind of blow it up. Well, we don't know what's really going to happen in the market, right? We don't know whether rates will go up, down, left, sideways, the market. But you know what you can control? You can buy car insurance. You can buy property insurance. You can buy liability insurance. That will protect your assets. You can make sure you have disability insurance, your health insurance, and your Social Security plan is reviewed. Then you can make sure you have your wills and documents reviewed, trusts, and life insurance. These are all protection instruments. Make sure you have them. Even though times are scary, they will be scarier if you die without a will. Then we go over to the savings component. make sure you have 6 months in a bank for emergencies. That makes sense? Then, after you have 6 months, make sure you're putting in 15 to 20% of your pay into tax-deferred investments, tax-free and tax-deductible. So it's very simple. This is what I call strategic asset allocation, SAA. Not to be confused with asset allocations where you have different types of funds or different types of stocks. This is strategically. Then you have the growth component where we look at bonds, preferred stocks, collectibles. That's where, Bitcoin would be, real estate, businesses, and tax shelters. This is your growth component. You can't control what's happening in the economy, but you can control your savings rate. You can control where you put your money, whether it's in a tax-free bucket or a taxable bucket. So those are the big tips of today. Tune out the noise. Keep your savings rate high. If you believed in the market 5 years ago, you'll believe in it 5 years from now. Realizing as a student of history, there are lost decades for equity investors. 1930 to 45, 1966 to 82, 2000 to 2011. All of those periods, being in stocks would have been inferior to other things. But that's why we call for macro diversification and what I call SAA, or strategic asset allocation, not to be confused with the pie that your financial advisor may have showed you. So if you want this model free, call us 888-988-JOSH. I'll give it to you. 888-988-5674. Follow us on Twitter at YourFinancialQB. 888-988-JOSH.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Jelensky Advisory Group.
Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior
Thanks,
Market Advisor,
for
and top of
joining
the
us.
$1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jelensky or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at jelensky.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such